everybody, how are you all doing today? Welcome back to another one of the Unreal Engine 4 sessions where my friend Strange Bro Gemini goes through the Unreal documentation in order to learn how to use the engine properly. And once we're done learning through what we think that we believe that we need to learn, we are then going to try and first make a clone, as a practice game. We still haven't said what we're going to make, and then we're going to try and make our own game. Something, again, we've yet to determine what we're going to make. Right now, I'm just waiting for him to finish his Pega session. So we can just hop on right in and start going through where we left off, which is the working with audio submixes section. I think we left like halfway through with using the submix through attenuation. No, choose submixes using sound attenuation. That's what it was. I already have it open. I'm not gonna put it on the screen just yet. And while we wait, might as well do a little bit sell out because I forgot to do that yesterday. Anyways, down in the description below you'll find a link to the Power Shop where you can purchase energy mixes, sleep mixes, hydration shakers, and even stickers. And if you use the query code Blackheart, you will get a 10% discount and help support the channel in the process. And of course, let's see. For those that hear a fan on the background, it's because it is a little bit hot today. As this time it is slower than usual though, so hopefully it's not too much of a problem. Unless it starts squeaking all of a sudden. And let's see, what do we talk about while we wait for my friend, who seems to be sort of explaining a few things of what he was doing, or maybe complaining of a few things. He found some irregularities with the Pega stuff. And let's see, what can we talk about while we wait? Let's see. Hold on. I can't think of anything to talk about actually. I guess the only thing I can think of is what I'm gonna do later after Real, but that has nothing to do with it. And I do end the stream in order to go to eat every single time I do. This is just a 1 hour-ish stream. Version the VOD. Anything that we don't understand or get wrong, leave it down in the comments below. Explain it. Explain it to us with details, because my friend and I, we're not sound engineers. There's a lot of things we don't really understand, actually. Like, I'm gonna put it on the screen right now. One thing we didn't understand from last stream is, well, what does this do? Like, we see the outputs going into the input, but what does this do? Also, what is the difference between the submix and the master submix? That it doesn't tell us the difference between one and the other. If anyone knows that, please leave it put it in chat if you're watching this live, or if you're watching the VOD, leave it down in the comments below, please. I would love to know what this is actually doing. And my guess it's some kind of merge, but I'm not entirely sure. Like if it's merging two different sounds or something along those lines, because the documentation isn't really telling us. Let's see. I don't know how much of it will actually cover today, since it gets to some stuff that we might not have to worry about until we actually start doing it. And in that case, then we will come back to this and have a look at it. And let's see. I really don't know what to talk about, honestly. While I wait for him to finish the Pega sessions. Let me switch back to the other overlay. Now that I showed that part, I would actually love to know what it does. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna end up using submixes for whatever it is we make. I just don't entirely get it yet. Just that. Oh great, I just heard a chihuahua running, growling through the window, so heads up, sorry if you hear a chihuahua barking in the background. I just hope he just stays calm during all this. For those who watch my Blender slash Krita sessions, that I put music on as of my last stream. I don't put music here because I'm afraid that you won't be able to hear my friend, since they will go to the same uh, audio channel, the desktop channel. I have no idea how to separate those yet. Also, from what happened yesterday, my dad suddenly talking through my window, which I did go to it. I had to cut it out because it wouldn't let me like mute it. I just ended up cutting that whole part out, so I'm sorry about that. I did look into the whole noise filtering for OBS. Might be a while till I start using it. I need a better processor for that. Yeah, my processor is not good, which is why I'm using Unreal Engine 4 and not 5, because my hardware cannot handle it. Let's see. Excuse me. Gotta sneeze. Try to hold it in a little bit this time. Let's see. I guess he's almost. No, he's not almost done. He seems to be going through a few more things. Oh well. Might as well talk of what, like, sort of what we plan to do a little bit. Like, well, for what Jim kind of wants to do, because he wants to do a 2D game. I'm okay with either 2D or 3D, although I would prefer a 3D. But, well, if you want to do a 2D, we'll try 2D. That's pretty much why I'm also learning both Blender and Krita. Krita to maybe make the 2D assets myself for when we start making our own game. And Blender will, just in case. I kind of feel more comfortable with Blender, not gonna lie. Like I said, I've always been more of a 3D guy. Especially like old school 3D. I don't know, it has some kind of charm to it. Who knows? I don't know, maybe I'll do my own little side thing on my own at some point. Like outside of whatever project we do. Just sort of try to experiment with a few things. Maybe try and mess around with things I understood the least to try and get a grasp of it. Mittens, be careful over there. Dude, don't you dare. That is my laptop, so you better be careful there. You dumb kitty cat. I'll pay attention to you later. If you want some scratchies, I'll give you some scratchies. Sorry about that. My kitty cat's a little bit spoiled. There, okay, she's lying on the ground. She won't be a problem. It's because it's a little bit hot. That's probably why she came out of the bed, so that you lay flat, belly up on the ground. Let's see. Okay, my friend's wrapping up his Pega session. As soon as I see he's starting soon screen for the Unreal session, I'll hop on right into the stage and we can get this started. excuse me. I had a little yawn, although you guys did not hear anything. Okay, my audio is up for desktop. Okay, so that way when I hop onto the stage, you guys can actually hear him. Okay, he's getting things ready. So let me just hop on right over to his stage real quick. There we go. I know there's a difference between what I see and what actually happened on his stream, like what he's actually doing. He does have an intentional delay on his end. Mine, if there's any delay, it's not intentional. I like to keep things with the least amount of delay as possible. That way I can answer quickly whatever questions you guys have. Or answer any of the advice you guys give me, if I can understand it
properly. A
properly.
little early on the intro, but it doesn't really matter all that much. We'll get into it. So, welcome back to another Unreal Engine study session. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we're going to be continuing on with our submixes section study session that we started yesterday. We got, partway through. We finished off the send to submixes using sound attenuation yesterday, so we're going to be starting off with the send dynamically to submixes in Blueprint. Not sure when, how much we'll get through on this.
I don't remember if you did that.
But, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh yeah, we did read that part. Now I remember.
What we cover and all that. Blackert's waiting in the stage, so let me definitely invite him to speak. And there we go.
Hello there, Jim. How you doing?
Not bad there, bud. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay.
Awesome. So yeah, we're gonna be continuing on our Unreal study session today. Obviously, if anybody we're probably going to be making some mistakes, or probably going to be like going, what's this line? So we encourage anybody that, that might have those answers, feel free to leave it into our chat or comment section. That would be very, very helpful for us. So, let's see. Anything else that I should cover? What do you think there, Blacker?
Not that I can think of right off my head.
Okay. I guess we'll just go ahead and get started then.
Yeah.
Alright. So, send dynamically to submixes in Blueprint. So this Blueprint function provides a way for audio components to dynamically route their audio to arbitrary submixes using whatever method you choose. Okay. Your arbitrary submixes. Okay. I mean, why? And dynamically. So I guess what it is that they're just basically saying, hey, when you need to, when this event starts, then we need to trigger this particular audio event. Is that what I'm kind of reading into this here?
Yeah, the audio and the submix.
Yeah. Although, I mean, wouldn't the audio be part of the submix anyway? So I'm kind of confused about what
like how it treats the audio is different. Yeah, there must be some configuration that's different between one and the other.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just temporarily adding it into that segmix or something like that. I don't know.
Could be just another
Um,
audio that doesn't need the submix. Well, the submix have probably multiple audios in there.
Potentially. Um, okay, to send a submix, to set a submix send, you will need a target, the audio component to use for sending audio to the submix. So that's this audio, that's the target. The submix where audio will be sent. Okay, so this audio will be sent into this particular submix, okay?
Okay.
And the send level, the amount of audio to send, such as a percentage of total volume. Okay, so according to this, about, I guess, 50% of that audio will be sent um, into the submix. Uh, so it's gonna be like, um, not as loud.
I'm guessing it is
Although,
what
I
we're
mean,
referring to. Like when it says level, I think of it's how loud it's gonna be.
yeah, I mean that it's saying, percentage of total volume. So, you know, so if you'd use 100%, then it's basically, hey, you're using the max volume you know, that it's been set at, whereas if you do the 50%, then you're basically halving the volume, or you're making it half as loud
Yeah.
as it could be. Now, um, is it basing the percentage off of, like, you send the audio in, like, you create an audio, like a dialogue, for example, taking the volume, you're taking your mic, you're recording the line, and you're putting you know, uh, that spoken line into, the audio, or, you're uploading it into the engine, right?
Yeah.
Is that automatic? I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I don't know if, you happen to know the answer there, Blackheart, but, you know, um, but, I'm just thinking aloud here. Is that, you know, uh, recording that we just uploaded automatically put at 100% total volume? Meaning that, like if I scream into a mic, will I consider that the 100%? Or if I put it um, into the engine, can I actually even increase that volume even more? Somehow. you know,
And
that's what I'm kind of wondering about right at this moment in time.
I'm thinking like kinda like if you're recording it, depending on the settings of your mic, like if you put it to capture the 100% or to alter the volume on it as it's being recorded, that will be the one that will take us 100%. And
That's
I've
what that's what I'm figuring as well. Like any you record some kind of audio, you put it into the engine, it should automatically consider that at, the 100%, like this is the max, you know, uh, the max volume you can really go for. Or maybe it's something that you can kind of adjust when you like upload it, maybe like, hey guys, I had to unfortunately whisper during this particular moment in time, so can you consider this like 10% of the total volume when you upload it? I don't know. I'm not quite sure how they judge that.
I guess it will
So
depend on what software you're using.
yeah, yeah, again, I don't know. Um, does is it something that you can adjust, when you upload it, directly into the Unreal Engine, or is it, Unreal Engine automatically takes those audios that you uploaded and automatically set the total volume of that to be 100%? So for example, in this particular example that they're giving for the target for the audio, they're saying that, hey, this audio is a little too loud for us. Like, we don't really want it as loud as what was recorded, so we're gonna half that volume by 50%, you know, by 50%, right? I mean, I can kind of understand that a little bit, you know. Um, like if someone uses a gun to shoot or something like that, maybe they don't necessarily want the full volume of that gunshot, right?
Mm.
So,
Yeah, the best example I
you
can
know,
think of right now is like when we use OBS. Uh, Whatever is the audio is set on, say, the game we're playing, on OBS you can lower that volume separately. So even if you're hearing
yeah,
it in one way, the output towards the audience is actually lesser than what we're actually hearing.
exactly. I mean, that's what I'm kind of figuring.
Yeah, I feel like that's
Like,
what this is doing. What's showing in the image.
yeah, um, yeah. So, in a sense, yes, that's how I'm kind of leaning towards. Um, that uh, the audio is basically what we are hearing, right? Like we're raising and lowering our volume, you know, uh, through our speakers, through our headsets, whatever, right? Through our earbuds. That's the 100%, and the send level is basically saying like, hey, we're gonna adjust the OBS to, be either higher, so so while it might not be blasting our ears off, it could be blasting the audience's ears off, or you can lower it, you know, so that you know um, it's not like overshadowing our voices when we're speaking. You know, that's you know, but again, uh, we don't really know completely. You know what, uh, what they set the audio to. So, maybe they have the audio set for like 10% when it first gets loaded up. We don't know. I don't know. Seems a little weird if they did it that way, but I mean, um,
I guess it all depends on the audio file.
yeah, you know, uh, well, I'm just like I said, I'm not quite sure what they set the audio file percentage to. You know, uh, did they have the audio file percentage set automatically to 100%, and therefore when they do the send level of 50%, they're basically having it, or is it set to like 10% when they first upload it, and with this little submix, and they're actually increasing the volume by a lot, you know, from the 10% up to 50%. I don't really know. It all depends on, how, what they're adding the audio in, what percentage. So, and I'm not really seeing where that might be right at this moment in time. So, oh well. Shall we move on or?
Let's move on.
Okay. Use audio volume to send to submixes. Audio volume supports sending audio to submixes in a similar way to how. Wait, one. Audio volume supports sending audio to submixes in a similar way to how sends are set up directly on sound sources. That's a little bit of a confusing sentence there, but um, they really should like capitalize sends if it's meant to be more of like an application, you know. But the primary difference is that the submix send is based on its location relative to the audio volume geometry. So The properties of the submix send array are identical to the properties that are directly set in the sound sources themselves. Okay. Sound sources will send their audio to a given submix send array based on whether the listener location state shows the listener inside or outside the volume. Audio volume also supports submix override depending on the listener location state. The submix is overridden by a specified effect chain depending on whether the listener is inside or outside of the volume. Hmm. Okay. Um. Okay, so we've messed around with the audio volume before, right? You know, we
Yeah.
did the cube, the sphere, the stairs, and all that, right? So talking about how you can, you know, when you add uh, audio into the audio volume, you know, you can set it up so that it will send to, you know, a particular sound mix or the submix. Um, but uh, they state, you know, primary differences that the submix send is based on its location relative to the audio volume geometry. So in other words, if, you know, you can send it to that submix, but if that submix is like super far away, then the volume might be, you know, pretty low maybe. So maybe, you know, I don't know how, you know, what's kind of going on there. Um,
From what I'm seeing, it's like similar to sound classes, but instead of putting the sound class on the audio, you're putting the submix to the audio volume instead, altering its behavior.
yeah. Um, well, maybe not too much behavior, but you know, just overall volume in general. Unless of course there's a way for you to, you know, uh, uh, like enable some form of like reverb or you know like the um, you know, some form of echo to it, you know, something like that. Maybe like if your audio volume is like blocks away in a city, for example, right? Like you're talking about like a manufacturing plant that might be, you know, like really loud, really noisy right at this moment in time. And you're a couple blocks away, you're kind of like walking towards that audio volume. You know, you are that sub mix send, I guess. Um, like if there's buildings between you and that factory, you know, with when it's trying to send uh, the um, the audio from that audio volume to the submix, you know, is it going to take into consideration that it has to like travel through other like volumes that might, you know, distort it, or you know, will it automatically go, well, it's, you know, you didn't set it up properly, so, you know, based off of the distance, we're just gonna lower the volume, and that's it. you know, um, not sure personally. Um, hmm. Not. It feels to me like we might need to kind of come back to this one later. I mean, unless you're perfectly fine with it and you're good to go. You know, but for me, it feels like this might be something that we might need to look into a little bit more later.
I'll probably have to experiment with it, but from what I'm seeing, it will be like I said, I would have to treat it like a sound class, but for audio volume.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel like when you put the submix onto the audio volume, its configuration is what's gonna take priority.
Well, I don't know if the submix itself will take kind of priority.
Because on the
Um,
sound mix itself, you can set the minimum and maximum distance, which is attenuation. You can set the
right.
level, minimum and maximum, and you can also alter the wave. Audio volume doesn't have that much, and that's why I feel like it would the audio volume would use the sound mix configuration instead of its own. Sort of like what sound class does to a sound whenever we put it to it. When we tell it's an ambient, it'll treat the sound like an ambient.
Yeah.
That's why this would take some messing around with to fully understand
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think we might need, obviously, you know, we don't know exactly what's kind of going on here or at least, for me, I don't know exactly what's kind of going on there. What the different main difference is between them. Obviously, we may need to kind of consider looking up a tutorial video for that or something like that, if there's one. Again, if anybody knows of a particular video that might explain that a little bit better, then I welcome the link. Um, but uh, or if anybody wants to explain it better, then that would be fantastic. Um, but yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Move on. Okay, so submix properties. While in a graph editor, the property details panel displays the selected submix in the submix graph. Okay. Properties. Mute when backgrounded allows the submix to be to automatically mute itself by applying a volume scaler of 0 on its output when the application is backgrounded. This feature allows a game to continue playing audio in the background by default for some audio but not all. Submix effect chain. This is an array of submix effects through which the mixed submix audio will be fed. These effects are implemented with the synthesis and DSP effects plugin. Other Unreal Engine plugins can also extend the list of submix effects available. Ambisonics plugin settings. Um, this property allows plugins to optionally allow a submix to encode audio sources sent to it as an ambisonic sound field. These settings define sound field encoding properties. Okay. Not quite sure. Like, mute when backgrounded, sure, okay. That's understandable about that. Submix effect chain. Hmm. Not quite sure what's going on there per se, or um, what do you mean by an effect chain? That's kind of what I'm kind of wondering about. Like, does it go like audio to audio to audio to audio, like, not an actual chaining of audios together, or is it something else entirely? I'm not sure what they're referring to there on that one. Ambisonics, no clue.
We did read about ambisonics at one point, and we will have to read it up on our own time again.
Yeah, and that was back in the native sound field ambisonics, which was
Yeah.
quite a few different sections ago on that. I don't think we were really understanding that particular topic to begin with anyway, so
Not well enough, that what I remember.
yeah,
We had some trouble with that one.
yeah, so that, again, some more confusion there. So, parent submix. The parent to the selected submix, the parent submix receives the rendered output as input. Okay, and that's standard. We've seen that kind of before. Oh, I forgot the note. The only settings type this property will accept is for Oculus and Mersonic settings when the Oculus plugin is enabled. Okay. Child submixes. An array of child submixes that feed their audio as input into the select submix. But wait, there is only one. There's only one output. So how could there be an array of child? That doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Like you can have multiple parents, but you can't have multiple children. Shouldn't that be like the other way around? They stated that the output can only be there's only one output, but you can take in multiple inputs.
Yeah.
So how can you have an array of different children?
I don't know.
Matter of fact, wait, hold on. They're showing that the master EQ submix default and master reverb submix default are both children. But wait, shouldn't these be parents to the master submix default?
Not sure.
That seems very suspect.
We'll probably understand it once we get to the blueprint section of how this is actually read.
Yeah.
Because this is using the blueprints configuration, and maybe it's a little bit like backwards how it works.
Maybe. But I mean, my problem is that there was another image that showed the exact opposite of that.
The regular submix showed it as a parent. The master submix is a repeated image, and it doesn't say parent on the master one, only on the regular submix, which it never really tells us what the difference is between one and the other.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The master submix does treat anything coming into its input as a child, whereas a regular the submix itself, and a non-master is treating anything that comes into the input as a parent. that makes things really confusing.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, they really should kind of treat, um, they really should treat the input and output as, similar. Even if it's master or not. They really should, you know, change that around in some way. But I don't know. Maybe they're just kind of limited by their own coding. They kind of backed themselves into a corner when they made this submix, and they were like going, "Oh wait, we should probably make this into a master." Oh, but we're causing ourselves problems with this. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, this isn't. Eh, I don't know. Okay. Um. Okay, where did I stop off at? There it is. Envelope follower. The DSP algorithm that outputs the amplitude of an audio signal that has been smoothed out over time. Attack time values define how quickly the algorithm reacts to increasing amplitude attack and decreasing amplitudes release. Um, yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're really talking about there. Not gonna lie. Um, and has been smoothed over time. Uh, and increasing amplitude and decreasing amplitude, attack and release. Yeah, I think this really needs to be expanded more. I'm not quite sure exactly what they're talking about here. Um, or at least I personally not really understanding what they're trying to get at there. I mean, are you?
No.
Okay. I wanted to ask because if you somehow are gleaning some information out of it, um, then I wanted you to maybe explain it to me if you understood. But yeah, um, obviously DSP's been you know used multiple times. Matter of fact, what was DSP again?
Um, digital sound. What was it again? The P. Processing. Digital sound
Processing.
processing.
Yep.
Digital sound processing. That's what it was.
Digital signal
Signal.
processing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we have that, but um, again, even that is still kind of confusing. Not gonna lie.
Hmm.
Um, you know, like what all goes into a digital signal processing. So, I mean, let's face it. There's a lot of terms that they're throwing at us that I personally have never used before. So, trying to take it all in is difficult. But I
Yeah.
mean, we'll do the best we can. Obviously, it might be better if we actually had someone that's a sound engineer to kind of work through on this. But I mean, we'll have to deal with that until that time comes. But for now, we'll do the best that we can what what we have. So, driving the amplitude of an audio signal using an envelope follower is significantly more effective than using the raw audio data because audio signals can be significantly faster. For example, 48,000 samples per second than game frames, for example, 60 frames per second. Um, Submixes also have a blueprint API that allows a blueprint to receive an amplitude envelope for audio rendered in a submix. These properties define how the envelope follower behaves. Um, what did he mean by envelope follower? What did he mean by envelope in general? What exactly is an envelope? uh, well, whatever. Um, Submix level controls the overall volume levels for the submix. The values in the category can be optionally set to display linear volume gains, such as 0.0 to 1.0, or decibels, negative 120 decibels to 0 decibels. The decibel is a common volume measurement that accounts for the fact that volume is perceived logarithmically. Um, output, output volume controls the overall output volume for the whole submix in both dry and wet channels. Huh? Wait, what? Um, what did they mean? That okay. It is not recommended that you mix game volume using this property, but it can be useful for tweaking the volume in a submix. Okay. Oh, here we go. Wet level and dry level, apparently.
Okay.
Wet level, the output volume of the audio that was fed through the submix effect chain. Okay. By default, this is set to 1.0. That is assumed that most uses of a submix are intended to be fully wet, with all audio sent through the effects. Okay. And then dry level, this is the output volume of the audio that was not fed through the submix effect chain. By default, this is set to 0, as it's assumed that most uses of a submix are intended to be fully wet. All audio sent through the effects. Okay, so this is a very weird way of stating those terms, but
Yeah.
okay, whatever. We'll deal with what they gave us. So in other words, so I'm assuming, like the submix effect chain is, similar to like, hey, you need to add in, a reverb at this one particular point in time. You need to add in the echo effect. You need to increase at this point and decrease at that point. You need to do this. You need to do that. Here's all these things that happen to the sound as it travels, right?
Right.
And therefore it's considered wet at that point. Whereas if you have some form of audio that can kind of pierce through all that, that doesn't get affected by anything that, like maybe think of it this way. Like you have like a face-off between the good guy and versus the bad guy, right? And you have the player kind of talking to the bad guy, but it has all this, distortions and stuff like that that's happening. As the good guy's like talking to the bad guy, going, "Oh, you're gonna pay for what you did. How dare you, cause all this destruction?" And you hear all the explosions that kind of distort, blah blah blah, right?
Mm.
Whereas the bad guy and goes, "Haha, I can talk to you with my mind." So, you have an audio dialogue that goes directly into the good guy's, mind, for example, as though there's nothing being distorted whatsoever. He's kind of talking naturally, so there's no distortion there, I guess. So that would be considered more of a dry level, maybe?
Like, from my understanding, like wet level, it will use submix configuration. dry level doesn't use the submix configuration at all.
Well, okay. It might still be used into a submix.
It
Okay.
itself is saying it's not being fed through the submix. If it's not being fed through the
Well,
submix, it's not going through it at all.
be careful here because it says fed through the submix effect chain. Okay. Doesn't say, it's not fed through the submix. It's saying through the submix effect chain. Okay. So those are, from what I can determine, those are like two. I mean, you still have the submix kind of thing, and you have maybe something that's going on in that submix called the effect chain that's kind of distorting the sounds that are kind of inside of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, the audio can't be fed into like a different submix that isn't being affected by an effect chain. So just I just want to put that out there that it might be it might still be fed into a submix, but that a submix might not necessarily have something happening to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, so
So
would you put this in a game example? I could use like Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know if you've seen like any playthrough of it. There
not much,
are
but
there is like a character with sort of like a tentacle face. Whenever it talks, it has sort of like an echo-ish effect to it.
mhm,
That would be the wet level, because it is going through
right,
some kind of filter that the sound mix effect chain is putting, because it is putting the echoing effect. But when
right.
another character is talking, like the vampire who doesn't have any effect, where he's like talks and sounds perfectly normal, that would be the dry one.
Maybe, but again, it depends on the area as well. Like they could be like inside like a hall that is very echoey. So,
Yeah, but
while
that is like a different kind of effect, because that would be more of the ambient affecting the sound, not the sound itself.
but that might be still a part of that effect chain though. That's my point. It could be, the sound might be entering into that particular submix of being inside that hall, and the echo effect is like distorting that particular sound
Yeah, in this case
happening.
it wouldn't be, because
So
like I said, I had been watching some of those streams. I heard them already.
yeah,
Like the only one with the echoing sound is just the guy with the tentacles. The human, the elf, and the halfling or whatever it was called, they were sounding perfectly normal.
yeah.
Only
But
that
I'm not.
guy had the echoing effect, since he doesn't really speak through his mouth, or I don't know how that
mm,
guy speaks.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know what you're talking about, but I'm just saying that like if you go into like a dialogue situation, sometimes they remove any kind of echoing effect. I get that. But if you're like in a combat situation or something like that where you're like inside of a room, um, and they speak like I'm going to attack, but it's inside of an echoey room, versus like they're outside, then it might apply a submix effect chain of being echoed right then and there. So the like um like you might take that same dialogue like I'm going to attack, right? You take it outside, there's no echo effect whatsoever, it's not necessarily applied in through a submix effect chain, so it's more of a dry level in that regard. Whereas if you go into, say, like an echoey hall and they're like, I'm going to attack, but, it kind of echoes, then that might be that wet level of, having that, you know, uh, echo nature to it being added into that or something. I'm just, you know, that's what I'm kind of thinking personally. But again, I don't know. I don't know if I'm on the right track or not on that, but that's how I'm kind of thinking about that for the most part. But we'll see.
Let's see.
Um. Okay, so it's already 3 o'clock, my friend. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I need to go get some
And
food.
we still haven't gotten through the rest of this, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
shall we go ahead and we're there's still a lot left.
Yeah.
So, shall we close on down for tonight for the rest of this, and we'll try to finish this off um,
Monday.
Mo-
I'm not streaming
Monday.
tomorrow.
You're not streaming tomorrow. That's correct. So, um, well, wait. You're gonna try to stream on Monday? Well,
Tomorrow,
I mean, yeah.
like tomorrow, no, it's not only New Year's, it's also my dad's birthday. So, and
Right.
I'm in charge of the
That
barbecue at night, and so I can't make it
yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Well, on
No worries.
Monday, like I am available on Monday afterwards,
Okay. Okay. I mean, you
unless
do
you have
stay up.
plans.
You do stay up well past midnight anyway on your normal gameplay, so it makes
Yeah,
sense. Um, you're very much like a night owl, like myself. Um,
my
but
brother would
okay.
say a vampire.
Hmm, um, okay. So in other words, you're a dragon vampire. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm a demon
That's
dragon.
that's. Wait, you're a demon dragon vampire? What? Okay. Okay. Um, that's a little wicked combination there. Okay. Um. Okay. Well, if you do come, stream on Monday, then we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where we're gonna go ahead and call it for now there, everybody. We'll continue on with the submix section on Monday, if not Tuesday. Um, and then hopefully we'll finish off this section by then. Hopefully there won't be too many more confusing sections.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, but there might be. Uh, but we'll see. Again, if there's something that you need to, if you're watching this and you have some answers for us, we welcome that. Constructive criticism is always welcome as well. Um, you know, um, but yeah, I think that's where we're gonna go and call it for tonight. Now, Blackheart, you obviously you're gonna go and grab something to eat,
Yep.
obviously. And in about an hour and a half, you're probably gonna be. You said that you're gonna start up some Genshin Impact, right?
Yep.
Just kind of putting that out there for everybody. Just in case anybody's wants to go watch Blackheart's content on my channel. You go over and check out his Genshin Impact streams. For myself, I have, I'm going to be doing some video uploads, trying to get caught up on all the backlog of videos that I have. I'm getting close. So it's going to get to the point where I'm going to be able to, after I'm done recording, today's videos, I can just upload, you know, release them the next day, and maybe even do some editing. Okay. um, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's what I'm gonna be doing in the next hour, and then I got Warframe after that. So gonna continue with the Warframe journey. So That's over here on my channel. So if anybody wants to come and watch that, you're welcome to, or you can watch both. That'd be good too.
Yep.
you know,
Lurkers are welcome on my channel.
indeed, indeed. So, okay. Well, that's gonna be it, my friend. You have yourself a good night. You enjoy your New Year's. You know, wish your father a happy birthday,
Thank you.
and I will see you on Monday, if not Tuesday. All right.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Catch you
Have a
next time.
happy new year. Bye.
Indeed. Bye.
Alright. I am out of the stage. Let me switch to the other overlay. And yeah, I'm gonna call it there for this session. I was really hoping we get a little bit further out on this. I don't know. Well, it is a lot to cover, and there are a few things that I'm not entirely sure if there are some things like we didn't understand, and other things like we're not exactly sure if we're understanding it properly. Oh well. That is gonna be it for the Unreal Engine 4 sessions. I'm gonna go close this down, go get something to eat, and be back somewhere between an hour and an hour and a half to do some Genshin Impact. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's stream. If you know something that will help, please leave it down in the comments below, or maybe a link to some video that might explain it better to us. And I hope to see you all in a little bit. Bye bye!